bang for the buck. And that's really where we're coming, okay, I'm not sure I can move it over to food theft now, but sustainable cooling solutions and the cold change for our food is really at the heart of it. So I do call it a super solution, and these super solutions is what this community needs to ensure that countries and negotiators that they're very well aware of. Every good coin has another side to it. So there's also the super solution can also be a super problem. And in this particular case, you may know that the food theft already, like we can lose up to 12% of food to spoilage. About 130 million people go without are risking of food shortage. And the cooling solutions that we're offering currently are very energy intensive, so they tend to eat up quite a bit of the energy we produce. And while we're shifting to renewable energy efficiency is really at the heart of it. The good news, and this is also what I hope to hear here today, is that there's quite a lot of good examples from around the world. And most of these solutions are ready to invest in. They deliver development, they deliver mitigation and adaptation solution. So those real world examples, I have 3 of them here that I got from my colleagues, and I'm quite excited about them all. And they're all in India. So in India, in Haryana, there's more than 500 efficient and renewable energy powered solutions for cold chains that have been put in place. And in Bihar, there's a number of farmers cooperative that use natural refrigerants for ensuring that the food theft doesn't happen on the way to the market. And then from between Punjab and Karnataka, there is a 2,500 kilometer long cold chain that has been put in place that has increased the farmers' profits by 10-fold, and they have reduced emissions by 16%, and the spoilage of food has gone down by 4-fold. So these are all the good news that we need to ensure that countries and the negotiators are very much aware of. Graham, with that, I would like to hand it back to you so that we can hear from the real experiences. Thank you.
It's a big round of applause for Nicholas. Thanks very much. That's a fantastic introduction there and setting the scene, and some really good precedents there that you highlight. And I love the words super solutions. Okay, food theft, super solutions. These are things that we're going to come out today talking about. So brilliant, well done. Now I'm going to hand over now to Helen, and Helen is I've got you written down your job title, but so I just need to check it. Director of Global Climate Policy at Trane Technologies, and you're one of the sponsors here, so it's great to have you here, and great for you to give us 10 minutes on a bit of a keynote. And don't forget the fun facts.
Oh, I got one. So thank you for sharing. So my name's Helen, and let me go to the next slide. I work for Trane Technologies, which is a fantastic place to work if you care about sustainability. Every person in our company has a sustainability goal every year. And one of the things that folks can do for their sustainability goal is kind of work on a crowdsourced solution that supports one of the UN NDCs. So kind of continuing with India, one of the solutions that we put together were kind of passive cooling food carts. We designed them, and then we kind of handed the design off to a local company for them to build them. And these little food carts could save, extend the life of the food in the food cart for days. It saved 40% food lost and waste, just using kind of a cool roof technology. So passive cooling for food carts, and that's just one of the ways that we can achieve our own personal sustainability goal within the company. We call it Operation Possible. That's what we call it. So, okay, so I think they're working on my slides, but that's okay. They'll get here when they get here. We'll move along. So a fun fact about me is, well, maybe if you're a nerd, this is a fun fact, okay? I started my career in safety working with very toxic materials. I have a passion for safety, and I have a passion for consensus. So it is deeply important to me that we bring stakeholders together in what I call a big tent. Don't know if that's American to American, but to kind of come together and raise all concerns about safety to make sure that we move forward together. I am obsessed with this, especially as we have this conversation, because I have seen pushback from people that did not want to move forward. And so I worked very hard and spent 5 years moving forward in this direction for air conditioning, for building codes in the United States, to make sure that everybody got on the same page. We did some really interesting testing that the fire service demanded, because they had felt very left behind in this process, and kind of gave us a lot of homework before they were willing to get on board. So, okay, moving on. So thank you, perfect, yeah. So we are the world's leader. Over 60% of the world's fresh and frozen is cooled by Thermo King equipment. All the way down to minus 90 degrees. So think about medicine, vaccines, blood plasma, peroxides, so safe transport of dangerous chemicals, all the way up to industrial heating. We kind of take the gamut. We flash freeze burritos. Folks flash freeze burritos with our equipment, as well as kind of standard shipping. So that's a little bit about us, and you can move on to the next slide. Thank you so much, Sarah. Trane Technologies and Thermo King, one of our subsidiaries, we are obsessed with sustainability. We have a 1.5 degree aligned goal for 2030, as well as a net zero goal. We also have a bonus goal, just to keep it interesting inside the company, of a gigaton of emissions from the customer's use of our products by 2030. So about 94% of the emissions related to our world are Scope 3 customers, and it's really a lot about energy. So we're very, very focused with that gigaton challenge around energy use. You can see our schedule. Sorry, I should have spelled it out. GWP is global warming potential. You may know that for refrigerants. So we've had these reductions, and we kind of got ahead of the curve. Over 10 years ago, we had transitioned to lower GWP refrigerants for a lot of our transport refrigeration. Sarah, you can go to the next. Thank you so much. Okay, we are refrigerant agnostic. What does that mean? It means that we use almost every refrigerant that there is, and if we don't put it in our own equipment, we'll actually design equipment for you, and that you can purchase someplace else with that refrigerant if we don't happen to make that. We try to look at balancing all of the key factors, safety, energy efficiency, environmental impacts, so global warming potential, ozone depletion potential, and cost and complexity. So try to kind of keep that all balanced. And we use almost every refrigerant that there is, propane and chillers, and everything that there is. Okay. Sorry, you can go. Thank you. I wanted to talk for a minute about risk assessment. It's kind of a weird topic that people don't really know much about, right? So a risk assessment means that you look at the severity and also the probability of an event happening, a bad thing happening with a safety thing, right? And then what you do, first of course, I have to invite everyone to my party. That's my first step. Then we identify scenarios of bad things that could happen. We look at severity and probability. And then we look at developing mitigation strategies, which we actually test. And again, long history of doing this on the air conditioning side. We're now doing this on the transport refrigeration side, trying to understand, okay, what bad thing could happen? How do we mitigate it? How do we work with others? We got to get all these other people on the right-hand side of this slide on board with us to kind of help us advance these things. Transport refrigeration ships all over the world, so refrigerants have to be allowed in different ports. There are some ports that won't even let you service equipment in the port itself with current refrigerants. Middle East, we have to go in and kind of offshore do servicing. So there's a lot of different rules around the world, and we try to work with everyone to kind of get things across the finish line. So these are the things that we're kind of working on. It's nuts and bolts. It's a little tedious, but those are the kind of things, we say duck feet moving under the water. You know how the duck stays up, but the duck feet are moving really fast? Our duck feet are moving really fast on this. Okay, Sarah, you can go to the next. Thank you. Again, here's just some pretty pictures of all the things that we're involved with. So auxiliary power units, passenger rail bus, telematics, so controls, and you can kind of see the rail, marine, trailer, truck, and air. Thank you, Sarah. You can go on. Thank you. I just wanted to talk for a minute about electric vehicles, so EVs. So we have EV lines around the world. We actually not only sell them in Europe and US and Japan, we also sell these in Mexico and other places around the world with emerging economies. So it's really interesting to me the different locations that want EVs and that are willing to kind of jump in as leaders, like Mexico City. So you can see some of the ways, the precision control and the flexibility in use. But we've been doing this for about a dozen years, and that's kind of how we've been selling to market for EVs. So you can go to the next one, Sarah. Thank you. So this is another challenging thing where you've got a lot of duck feet make it happen, because you need the electrical infrastructure to make this happen, right? And then if we think about like in ports, particularly, they need that electrical structure because as I'm sure you've guessed, based on the someone stole our food conversation we already had, like we don't want that food stolen at the port. That stuff has to stay cool, whether it's on a ship, off a ship, on a truck, not on a truck, on rail, not on rail, wherever it is, it's got to stay cool. So we're always pumping energy to keep those loads cool, right? So that's really important. So you can go on to the next one. Thank you so much, Sarah. We will not go into great detail on this slide because this is a lot, but for those of you, and you can have these slides, that's totally fine, but just kind of talking about how food gets cooled, right? You kind of pre-cool the container, you've got to keep that temperature holding in the yard, you might have to defrost something, and then on the delivery route, you've got to keep things cold. So those are kind of the steps that we think about in transport refrigeration and what has to happen to keep the load cool. You can go to the next one, if you're still driving here. Okay, so there are different best practices. Again, I'm going to share these slides with you, so if you want to look at this in more detail, you can. But here are the approximate energy use as well as the connection that's needed. Again, that yard operation and pre-cooling and kind of sitting in the yard is really important to kind of reducing energy impact in this space. You can go to the next one, sir. Thank you. Another, sometimes we hear people say, if you're not measuring, you're not improving. So analytics is a way to kind of look at how energy is being used and how temperatures are controlled. And so we offer that to our customers as a way to understand how to manage fleets. Like we can literally see, that guy out in California, he turned that truck on 6 hours before he put anything in it. What on earth is he thinking about, right? So like we can pull that together and give that to that equipment owner and help them think through their policies and the way they run things to reduce their energy and reduce their costs. You can go to the next one. Thanks, sir. So this is just kind of talking about connectivity and the use of electric shore power. Again, keeping that load cool on shore and how important that is, and just kind of looking at all of the parts of operation to reduce energy costs. Maybe one more, I think. So, I'm going to add one more story for you. Load, like if we think about food, right? The load goes out maybe to the grocery store, and a lot of times it comes back empty. We've been working with partners in the United States, in Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, around the world to try to get that load full on the way back to go to food banks, so to share that food that maybe would be wasted. And it's been a really successful program in partnership with local food bank networks. So if you're in this space and you're looking for ideas and ways to save food, that's another one. No empty back haul, like bring it to the food bank. So with that, we're continue to work on solutions that combine reduced refrigerant impact and high efficiency across all temperature ranges. So thank you very much, and really great to hear.
Thanks very much, Helen. That was fantastic. It was a brilliant keynote, and we learned about refrigerants. We learned about electric vehicles for big electric vehicles, and we learned about monitoring and how we track. So that's great. Thanks very much. Now, the next session is going to be a bit of a panel, and we've got some fantastic speakers who are going to let us talk about how we can solve the food theft issue, but in a natural way. Okay, so I'm going to invite up to here, I'm going to invite Mark Major from Cool Climate Centre, Peter Nexer from Sintef, Satish Kumar from AEEE, Nidhi Nagabati from United Nations University, Jacob Brabar from the Energy Savings Trust, and Edelaine Camilio from CLASP. So please come and find a chair and let us begin. Please sit anywhere. That's fine. Please grab the chair. I don't mind standing. So what we're going to do is we've got some specific questions for everyone, and don't forget we're going to make sure that the panel give us the fun fact about them as well. But we're going to start with Peter from Sintef, who's going to give us a bit of an introduction to the subject of natural refrigerants and what the IIR is doing. So there should be some slides on this. So, Peter, over to you, please.
While the slides are coming up, I suppose I can start with a fun fact. One fun fact is that I've worked in refrigeration for more than 40 years. So that's equally long as you, I think, Grammy. So that's how it is. It's a good place to be. So today I represent the International Institute of Refrigeration. It's an intergovernmental organization, the World Organization for the Development of Refrigeration. And it represents more than 59 countries around the globe, you see in blue. And they also arrange several international conferences in series, which are very important to exchange scientific information and get people together for the cooperation. And you have some possibilities for hooking up information. Next slide, please. So, why it matters, refrigeration? IIR covers all kind of refrigeration, from cryogenics to cold chains, which we are focusing on today, but also space cooling and the heat pumps for space heating and industrial heat pumps up to maybe 200 degrees or whatever temperature. So very important. Next slide, please. So some key messages from IIR is that refrigeration, heat pumps and cold chains have a critical role in building a resilient, sustainable and healthy society while protecting our climate. It's not a mere convenience, it's a vital infrastructure to preserve food, ensure health care and critical economic stability. It enables to build realization to rising temperatures. The IIR therefore encourage all governments to initiate national interinstitutional coordination efforts to coordinate the sustainable refrigeration policies, decisions and programs. This is very important. The IIR is eager to work with all governments and organizations, so please get in contact. And the last point, according to our focus today, use of natural refrigerants in the cold chain is available in several applications now, like industrial refrigeration, your refrigerators with isobutane, CO2, which I may come back to for commercial refrigeration. So, next slide, last slide. In 2025, IAR, together with the UNEP Ozone Action, have developed 4 technology briefs, or actually 3. The 4th one is coming out any time, so keep tuned. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Petter. And we're going to come back to Petter with a specific question. That's it. Let's give him a round of applause. That's the right thing to do. So great. Well done, Amir. Okay, so we're going to move on to Mark, if that's okay, Mark. And when Mark introduced himself earlier to me, he said, I don't work in refrigeration. Okay, as if actually working in refrigeration was the best thing ever. But I think he works in something slightly connected, reefers. He's going to tell us about natural refrigeration, natural refrigerants in reefers. Mark, can you tell us what the opportunity is, please? You're involved in the project. Tell us a little bit about your project, and then the opportunity, please.
Okay, so there's about 3 million reefer containers used in international maritime transport. And the industry kind of knows that they need to make a transition to another type of refrigerant, particularly because of the F-gas regulation. But there's a risk that they kind of make a move now to 1, 2, 3, 4 YF, and they themselves accept this is kind of like an interim solution. I saw figures a couple of weeks ago of them spending 28 billion on these temporary kind of containers. These containers are used internationally for about 10 years. And we really see the opportunity for the industry to move directly to natural refrigerants, so probably propane, maybe CO2. And so we've formed an alliance, the Greener Reefer Transition Alliance, we're working with some shipping companies, we're working with German Development Corporation, we're circling some manufacturers, including Thermo King, part of Train Technologies, who are helping us design and test a reefer container using propane. We will do a lab test, and then we will put it, and we're just trying to kind of get the industry to kind of make this shift. And it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation, right? Okay, the manufacturers say, well, none of the carriers are asking for this. The carriers are saying, well, our customers are not asking for this. And of course, the customers don't know that they're using refrigerants that have got terrible global warming potential and forever chemicals. So we're trying to kind of raise a discussion with the customers, engage the carriers, and work with the manufacturers to try and get this and skip this intermediate phase. And we've been working on this for about just over a year, and we're starting to see the industry start to accept that, this doesn't make any sense to go to an interim solution, although that is easy for them in certain ways in the short term, and that there's a real opportunity here to go directly to natural refrigerants. So I'm not directly working on refrigerants, but I'm working on this reefer container topic. And I'm super interested to hear about this. I would like to talk to you about the installation. So any ideas or reactions you have from your work, your deep knowledge of the industry, how we can trigger this. You said some really interesting things in the introduction, Helen, that I'd like to follow up on. So raise awareness about this. You're probably all in touch with cargo owners, fruit producers, supermarkets, pharmaceutical companies. Raise awareness of the fact that they have these pollutants in their supply chain. They don't realize it, right? It's like a silent thing. Even a lot of the shipping lines don't know about this. The customers don't know. So it's a good thing to raise awareness of and help us kind of trigger. And I think we're nearly there. I think we're on the point of hopefully triggering a shift in reefers. As I calculated, there's 1,500 reefers enter the market every day.
Fantastic. But before I let you go, you know what I need to ask you.
Okay, fun fact. So I'm here in Belém, working on shipping and refrigeration and cargo. The Kuna Climate Centre works on freight transport and logistics in general, And 35 years ago, after I finished my degree, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and I hitchhiked down the Amazon on a cargo ship from Iquitos in Peru and arrived here. So somehow all boats lead to Belém. Happy to be back.
Yeah, that's great. Let's give it a round of applause to Mark for that intervention. And it's really great to have you here to hear it from the other side. And that's the only way we're going to solve this, is actually having multiple voices in the same room. So thank you very much for sharing that. Now we're going to move to Satish, and Satish is very well known. He's a world leader in cooling. He's from India, and he's been involved in the Indian Action Plan, Indian Cooling Action Plan. And perhaps you could tell us a little bit about how that relates to the cold chain and what the challenges, opportunities are, please, Satish.
So thanks, Graham, and for that generous introduction. So I will start with a fun fact first, not as exciting as yours, but since we are talking about cold chain, I do want to share that I am absolutely nutcase when it comes to fruits and vegetables. And every place that I go, I think in my first port of call is to try to figure out farmers market where I can go and purchase or buy like local produce. So I was here at Veropaso, and I think I was, so I'm already quite familiar. This is my first trip to Brazil, but also I think I'm enjoying the local fruits here. But I must tell you, I'm a vegetarian. I'm also realizing that fruits are in abundance, but Brazil is not a good place for vegetarians. So I think there are not too many, I think, choices if you go to eat. So with that introduction, let me come and talk about India. And some of you have already talked about, given some examples of India. So I'll throw out some numbers to begin with. About 60% of India's population is still dependent on agriculture. 60%. You are talking about 800 million people whose, I think, livelihoods are dependent on agriculture. So very, very important segment for us. 86 million farmers in India are smallholder farmers with less than an acre of land. And they have very limited means to get access to cold chain and to market, and many times they are doing stress sales because they just need to get some money into their pocket to make their ends meet. India produces about 350 million tons of fruits and vegetables. It's the second largest producer of horticultural products. But out of that, about 20% of fruits and vegetables perish. They don't even reach the kitchen. So about 50 million sort of like tons of fruits and vegetables. So this is just, I think, some context on why cold chain in India is so critical. The other fact is that while we have very large cold stores, like you are talking about 4,000, 5,000 tons of refrigerant capacity, but we have almost 90% gap when it comes to pack houses, ripening chambers, reefers. And I saw your Green Reefer Alliance. I'll get in touch with you because we would like to learn how to join and probably learn and contribute to that. So that's also a fact. Some of these numbers came out in the India Cooling Action Plan. And as a result, I think many of the global entities started to focus on making sustainable cold chain a priority in India. What AEEE has been doing is that we are trying to make cold pieces of infrastructure clean and affordable to the local farmers. So, yeah.
You need to hold it like that, I
Okay.
think. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, go for it. With your hands like that, I think he's saying.
Okay.
Further
Okay.
down,
Sorry about that.
A bit further down, maybe with your hands like that. I think that's what he's suggesting. Yeah.
Okay, I hope it works. So thank you. So what Government of India and many of the philanthropies and organizations who are present, as well as AEEE, is doing, that we are trying to make cold chain solutions clean and affordable, which means that we are trying to promote energy efficiency, renewable energy, natural-based refrigerants, and trying to make it available to the smallholder farmers who don't have access to cooling. The other piece that is also happening is that much of the large cold stores, they use ammonia, and I know that there is a discussion on this, but they are very old. They can't have multi-commodity cooling and other things. So they are also looking to upgrade facilities, and we are looking at financing the retrofits using, I think, a global finance or blended capital to sort of like help upgrade some of those facilities. So I think the challenge is that while I think India is doing a lot, I think on climate change front, but agriculture is one area where I think it will need a lot of help in terms of building an integrated cold chain infrastructure, which will actually help double the farmer's income, which is, I think, one of the goals in India. And cold chain is an absolutely integral piece of this. So I'll stop here, and maybe I think I can go to some of the details in the next round. Thank you.
Thanks very much. This round of applause for Satish for a great intervention there, and a really fun fact story. And I think you touched upon policy there. You touched upon the action plan, and we've got Adelaine from CLASP, okay, who is going to share with us from Brazil, the Brazil experience, and we're interested in understanding finance, capacity building, institutional coordination, policy, etc. So we're interested in understanding those aspects. Could you share some of those challenges?
Sorry, could you please repeat the...
So the question is, from your experience in Brazil, what enabling conditions such as policy, financing, capacity building, and institutional coordination?
Okay, thank you.
Are going to drive us. So
Yeah.
Please.
First of all, I think I'm the only Brazilian here in the panel, so welcome. Thank you for coming to my country and to make COP, because without the people that are in COP, we wouldn't have a COP in Brazil, and we had so many struggles in this past year. We are not believing we would have COP, so you believed we would have, and you are here, so thank you very much. And I'm sure all people that is here discussing will bring new inputs for changing things in Brazil too, apart from what's happening in other countries. And a fun fact about me, I have several because I'm a very distracted person. One day I didn't have kids. I realized 10 minutes later that my car had a car seat for babies. And I was like, how this car seat is here? I don't have babies. Today I have kids. And I realized I had to pick up our own car in the parking lot, because it was a private parking lot, the cars was open and the key was there, so yeah, that's me. One day I was in Austria for a conference, and I was sure I was in the building for the university that I was supposed to be. But I had passed through like 5 security, I had been interrogated by the guards and shown my passport several times. I was like, what is going on? It's just a university. I was in United Nations building for a high-end kind of meeting that I wasn't supposed to be. So, yeah, that's me. But let's go to work now. I'm from CLASP. For who don't know CLASP, we are an NGO based in DC. In the last 25 years, we have been helping countries to improve their energy efficiency policies. The label that you see in air conditioners, refrigerators, we are helping countries to improve that. And I come from the university. I spent 20 years in energy transition policies, and honestly, I never paid attention how much change that little sticks that are in our places can make. And I've been clasping the last 2 years. We have offices in India, Kenya, Indonesia, China, Europe, and in July we formally opened our office in Brazil. We have been supporting the Brazilian government in improving labels and maps and endorsement seals in the last 5 years, and that's deeply connected with the question he made to me. what we have been seeing in Brazil. The label for air conditioner, for instance, the domestic air conditioner, when we started to work in Brazil in 2018, that had been updated for 12 years. We were able to support the Brazilian government to update the AC label into 2020. And by then, we didn't have one single air conditioner with R32 being produced in Brazil. And Brazil, 95% of the air conditioner that Brazilians buy today is produced in Brazil. So we have a very close market, we don't import. So we need to change our market, the products that are made here. And we run the data this year again. 95% of our air conditioners that are being sold in Brazil today has R32. Next year, the policy will change again, and that will be 100%. So my first point here, labels has a power to change the refrigerant to low GWP refrigerant in a very fast way. And someone said at the beginning that we need a high efficient solution. I come from science technology policy, my PhD is that. And I believe the science needs to move fast, the technology to cope with climate change. But I'm learning with label and policies, that's two simple instruments. The technology we have available now, if you can bring to the market is the technology that's available in the world, because we high the bar. We say you can't sell this bad technology here anymore. The change is fast and it's not that high cost. But we were able to do that with Brazil in domestic air conditioner, in refrigerator, domestic refrigerator. The change was also fast because the ProCell seal, the endorsement seal, put a rule in their regulation that the refrigerators needed to have a low GWP to have fiscal incentives, because refrigerators in Brazil, if they are labeled A, they have fiscal incentives. But we are missing labels and maps in commercial air conditioner, commercial refrigerator that are deeply related with your cold chain. We don't have any regulation in Brazil. That are in the regulatory agenda. We are helping Brazilian government to work on that. What is missing in Brazil? We have a 40 years old energy efficiency policy. We have financial resources. We have a ProCell that has money, but they don't have people. They don't have infrastructure. For instance, we had a good test lab for appliances in Brazil, including commercial refrigerator. Was the only structure we had to test the commercial refrigerator that's closed. Because Eletrobras, our public utility, was privatized and the center was part of this utility, so this is closed. So we have money, but I always say we have all the pieces of the puzzle because we have money. We have an organization that is Metro that knows how to do a good label. We have the Ministry of Mines and Energy that knows how to do maps. We have also an energy efficiency program for the electricity energy distribution agency that has plenty of money for replacing appliances, for instance, refrigerators for low-income community. But we have around $150 million a year in public procurement only for refrigerators and air conditioners. But we don't have a rule that the air conditioners and refrigerators bought through public procurement should meet a criteria of energy efficiency. So just to finish, we have the pieces in Brazil, but we needed to put effort and make the puzzle and coordinate all of this.
Well done. That's brilliant story. Thanks very much. Lots of brilliant stories there, actually. I love the fun facts and also the successes that you've had in Brazil. And thank you very much for inviting us to Brazil and being such a fantastic host here as well. It's amazing to be here. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to move on to Jacob, if that's all right. I can go to Jacob first, if that's okay. And Jacob, from the Energy Savings Trust, could you tell us a bit about what you think are going to be either the most promising technologies or business models emerging for inclusive sustainable cooling in the cold chain, please?
Thanks, Graham. It's great to be here in the coolest pavilion at COP30, and I literally mean it because it feels like it's about 5 degrees cooler than everywhere else I've been so far. My name is Jakub Verba. I work with Energy Saving Trust. We are non-profit based in the United Kingdom, focused on renewable energy, energy efficiency, and low carbon transport to tackle the climate emergency. And I'm here to represent the Efficiency for Access Coalition, which is funded by the UK government and the IKEA Foundation, to support the development of solar-powered appliances for Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. And we have been supporting innovators in these regions for the past 7 years to develop different cooling solutions. For example, you can think of a solar-powered walk-in cold room to reduce post-harvest losses. We have an innovator in Kenya who actually developed the world's most sustainable cold room that has ever been made from biogenic materials for insulation. We have supported companies to develop off-grid solar refrigerators like Coolbox that are now deploying refrigerators in Rwanda in 3 refugee camps with our partner from Practical Action who is there in the back. And also we have supported innovators to develop ice makers that are solar powered to empower fisherfolk in remote regions of Sub-Saharan Africa. And because I'm an engineer, I always like to give an example. So I would like to give you an example from northern Kenya. There's a social enterprise called Adili Solar Hubs, and they provide end-to-end cold chain to fisherfolk to feed refugees in Kalu Bay and Kakuma. And how they do that is they have passive cooling boxes on each small boat that the fisherfolk go out with. Then they bring the fish. There's a solar-powered processing plant and ice-making plant where the fish is processed and stored. There's a water filtration system that takes water from the lake and produces the ice. And then Adili transports this fish in refrigerated trucks to refugee camps where they provide financing to refugees to operate solar-powered refrigerators and then feed the local communities. And the success has been amazing, not just from post-harvest losses management, because then the fisherfolk catch less fish, but they also provide the additional water that's filtered to the local schools and local communities, and the fisherfolk make a lot more money than before. So this is just one example of how cold chains can really empower people to make more income. And now what we have realized more recently is that it's not about the technology itself, it's about the holistic approach that these entrepreneurs really need. So that's why we launched the Kenya Cold Chain Accelerator 2 months ago, that not only provides funding to develop the technologies themselves, but test new business models, provide technical assistance to the companies to actually secure commercial investment from impact investors, and also conduct research to actually see how much emissions they are reducing, so then they can potentially attract some carbon credits from other investors. And yeah, I've got a lot more examples I can talk to you about. Please come to me afterwards if you would like to find out more. And just before I finish off, I would like to just have a small call for everyone who is working with policymakers. We are considering to launch a new working group under Cool Coalition that would focus on first-time access to cooling. And we here at COP, we are doing some consultations to understand whether there's demand for it and who would like to join. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Jacob. Before you go, fun fact, very quickly, fun fact.
Sorry, completely forgot. Fun fact, about 5 years ago, I had very long hair, very long beard. I lived in a camper van in New Zealand for 6 months, and I really wanted a fridge in my van. So I installed a solar panel on the fridge and bought a solar panel on the roof, and then to power this little fridge in the van, and I was very happy with myself.
Yeah, well, I'm very jealous of you having very long hair, and yeah, great story. So, Nidhi, we're slightly short on time, so if you can give a quick intervention, please, from a systems and sustainability science lens. How do cold chains intersect with the broader goals, the broader sustainability goals, please?
Thank you so much. My name is Nidhi Nagabatla. I am the program head for Nature, Climate and Health at United Nations University. What we do is we bridge science and society and science and policy. So that's our main task as a UN agency. And I'm glad to be here sharing some perspective. And I'll start with a fun fact before the hard facts. So the fun fact about me is, a cool fact about me is about heating. So I live in Belgium. And I am the last one in my network and neighborhoods to switch on the heating because we need heating there, not cooling. Well, back to the points. I have 3 or 4 points I'd like to elaborate on. One is, I think, also alluding with all the other panelists who have made quite interesting interventions from their institutional agency and their skill viewpoint. I think we, at the European level, we also talk about multi-level governance, and that I see as a kind of a gateway that can apply to any sector and subsector. So I think, which also means vertical and horizontal integration of role, responsibility, and rights. And I think as a cooling sector is more rather undefined. There are public-private partnerships that are coming up as best practices, as was also pointed out. But if this could be more condensed with standards, rules, regulations, monitoring and evaluation, as any other project would go through or process would go through, I think that will add a bit of a trigger for it, a larger buy-in and a much more of a, I would say, efficiency-based interaction and transactions. So that's point one, and I only have 3. And policy coherence for development. This synonym and acronym we've been using in the COPs forever, PCD. So can we really materialize or unpack what is PCD? And so if cooling is solving food security problems, so are we giving that incentive back to the cooling sector in terms of green credits, in tax credits, subsidies, incentives? So are we doing that cross exercise, or aren't we? Or if some countries are, maybe they can provide their governance frameworks to the others, even if they are doing at subnational or community level. Of course, there are mega levels, as you alluded to. The third and the last point is that we need to see how all this can be financed, especially for the vulnerable. And I, from my programmatic thing, program that I lead, we also deal with a lot of displaced and refugee people. And I think troubles for them are tenfold compared to regular populations and communities. Can we also take this thinking to those vulnerable communities, those exposed people, on how they can benefit? And it's just not about food security. One, of course, our entry gateway could be food security, but we are helping with medicines, with children's food, which is basic fundamental needs of any human life and dignity. So that's my small message. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's round of applause for Nidhi, and I really like the touching on the most vulnerable. We're privileged and we have access, but we also need to make sure that everyone has access. So it's a really good point. I'm going to whiz over here just very quickly, and because Peter didn't get a chance to respond to a question, but I'm going to ask him for a 1 minute intervention on what are the best innovations or lessons learned that will be game changing in the cold chain. So Peter, you've got a minute.
I think then I use an example from what I've been involved in myself to introduce CO2 as refrigerant as an alternative to the very strong greenhouse gas 404A. And this development has been ongoing for a long time, but now it's really on the market. So in Norway, it's 87% market penetration. In Europe, more than 30%, and it's spreading out in the world. And for moderate and cold climates, you can also utilize the system to do the heat and recover the heat, reducing the overall power consumption by 30%. So this is a very important, but innovation has to be done. You have to exchange results and discuss this in the scientific community, between industries, between countries, very important, and present then the results at the IR conferences, very important. And of course, safety measures and also standardization and so on is very important in this picture. So sorry for using a little bit more than 10 words.
That was fantastic. So that was CO2 as a refrigerant. CO2 as a refrigerant, game changer. Okay, so we've got a few minutes, okay, for you. If you've got any questions, or if you've got a fun fact you want to share about yourself, okay, you might want to do that, okay. Everyone's looking down at this point thinking that maybe I don't want to be asked, but I've got this habit of walking around with a microphone thinking I'm on stage and giving a microphone to someone who doesn't want it. So, no, sure? Okay, one question from Helen then, please.
Edeline, you talked about commercial refrigeration and how there are no energy efficiency requirements in Brazil. And I just wanted to share with you, in the US and other places around the world, we're just starting to see energy efficiency requirements around commercial refrigeration in the last 5-10 years. So nothing new there, but I think it's a big impact. And would you follow up with would you use the same sticker philosophy to educate people, or how do you think you might go about trying to push energy standards in Brazil around commercial refrigeration?
Thank you for the question. The fact is we don't have any regulation for commercial refrigerator. This is in the agenda regulatory. What this means, they plan to start to work on this equipment next year. We made a market assessment for the policymakers to understand the market, how big it is, and we see that chillers is growing. And there's another equipment, another fact in Brazil is data center is growing too. So from our experience from CLASP, what we always bring to the country, the benchmarkings. So we bring US experience, China experience, and the local policymakers analyze and discuss and have industry involved to have at some point an agreement what would be the energy efficiency level, what would be the test requirements. But for now, we don't have any kind of indication what it will be.
Thanks, Edeline. Just over to Satish, please.
Yeah, so I just want to take a minute. Graham, you said about one innovation, and I will say the word is GOBS, G-O-B-S. So you can say gobsmacked or gobs of data. But what I am talking about is a geospatial open building stack that my organization, Alliance for an Energy Efficient Economy, has just launched. And what it is, it's a digital layer of all the buildings that exist in India, along with the height, latitude, longitude. And its relevance to the cold chain segment is that you can pretty much map the entire cold chain stock and say that whether it's a pack house, whether it's a reefer van, whether it's like a whether it's a large cold storage or micro cold room, and then you can start to put in the information, what kind of refrigerant it uses, how old is the facility, whether you want to upgrade it or not. So by providing this underlying layer of a digital building stock, we think that this could be a game changer for both space cooling as well as cold chain. Thank you.
Fantastic. Sounds like a game changer. Now, I want to do three things before we finish, okay? The first thing I'd like is Helen just to come up and say just a couple of things about if you want to, that is, about what she learned from today. And then I want to do two other things before we close.
No, I thank you all for your interventions. I thought it was, we're back to this again. So thank you for your interventions. I thought it was very interesting. I feel like I learned a great deal about, some new innovative things that are going around the world. And I think, as we think about the world getting hotter and how we're going to need to respond to that, I think, all of these ideas, and as we talk about, and I'm going to say this wrong, Montreal. As we think about how we can work together as we think about how we can work together and and solve some of these very, very complicated problems. These are all big tent problems, and they won't be solved without it. So I think the Brazil COP presidency has said we need to work together, and this is a great example of how we need to do that.
Thanks very much, Helen. That's a great end to the session. So don't forget, okay, stealing of food. Okay, don't forget, we want to avoid people stealing food. Food theft, that's the word. Before we close, I just wanted to do two more things, okay? Firstly, I'd just like to say this is an amazing pavilion, and well done to the UNEP team that are here. And I can see Mary Sophie, I can see Chloe, I can see Amir, Sarah was here earlier, Malaya was here, okay? And also these guys that are on the desk here, okay? Thanks so much, and the photographers as well. Thanks so much. You do such an amazing job, okay? And in a really challenging environment. So thanks very much. It's tremendous. The last thing I'd like to do is I'd like to do a family photo, but the family photo I'd like to do is I'd like anyone that's involved in the food chain to come up on stage and take a photograph. If our photographer is able to take a photograph. I'd like anyone that's involved in the food chain to come up. Okay, I'm going to say it in a slightly different way. If you eat chilled or frozen foods, please come up onto the stage and enjoy the photograph. Yeah, if you've got a fridge, come up, we're all ready. Please don't be shy. Everyone, come on. Come and join the photo. Everyone, come on, join the photo, come on, don't be shy. There's two people there. Come on, you can join. You've got a fridge at home. Come on, and sitting down as well. Come on, let's make this the biggest photograph in the whole COP in these things. Come on, Chloe and Mary Sophie. Come on up, you come. Chloe and Mary Sophie, you can't escape. No, Chloe, come on. No, come on. Okay, right. After 3, food theft. 1, 2, 3, food theft. Okay, big smile for everyone. Okay, thanks very much everyone for a great session. Really, really good. Big round of applause for you all. So well done. That's great. Thanks very much.
Great sharing, as always.